Good day, great day, and grand day to you all. Welcome back on another segment of Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. Thank you all for joining me today. The topic of discussion today is our soul-led decisions, navigating, being able to navigate this journey through our inner eyes. All right, our soul-led choices that we make, being able to navigate this journey through the lens of our soul. What does that mean? You know, living a spiritual life, understanding that you're a spiritual being, and that takes precedence over the body that we live in, the experiences that we go through, and how the conscious mind views our experiences. Understanding that we're a spiritual being having this human experience, it's so important to be led by your spirit. It's so important to make those decisions that comes from your spirit. It's so important to, most of the times, delay a response to a question that is asked of you until it is confirmed by your essence, by your spirit. Now, the first thought that will come to many people's minds, or maybe not the first thought, but what I can hear people saying, well, what about in the heat of the moment and you need to make a decision right away and all that stuff? Well, if it was so vital to make a decision in that heat of the moment and your spirit knows that it was life or death, your spirit will immediately give you that response or give you that flight response that you need to save your life. And so in those situations, I'm really not talking about those particular situations. However, your spirit will let you know what it is you need to do in those situations. I'm talking about when you have to do something or you're asked a question and you're not really sure yet as to how to respond. And in order to respond in a way that is favorable for your spiritual growth, you have to glean that information from your spirit. And depending on the relationship that you have with your spirit will determine how readily available those responses will be. I engage in meditation, reflections. I engage in different forms of therapy, specifically regression therapy, where I have communication and have constant communication with my essence, with my spirit. And so I am able to garner or glean those lessons or those answers from my spirit rather swiftly, if you will, rather clearly, and making the distinction, understanding the responses that my spirit give versus if my mind or if my thoughts want to interrupt this process. And so having that relationship with your spirit makes it easier. For those who are embarking on the journey and getting started on that journey of being able to foster or nourish that relationship with your spirit, beginning to foster that relationship with your spirit, engaging in that relationship with your spirit, going on that spiritual journey, it may not come as readily available or readily easy for you, but the more you engage in that relationship, the more you nurture that relationship, the easier it'll be. So I want to give an example of at least how to, if you will, begin this process of really getting the answer from your spirit. And again, a large part of the equation is honoring your spirit, honoring your truth, understanding that you're a spiritual being. The other day, I was asked a question. I was doing some business and I needed to complete the paperwork, and I submitted the paperwork. Everything was fine. But I was asked a question that needed to be answered, and consciously I wasn't sure. I was kind of getting ready. I was trying to get out the house. I was doing so many different things, and I know I needed a moment to really dig deep to get the answer, because I didn't want to just answer the question off the top of my head, not understanding what course of action my spirit wanted to take, because I was just so focused on embarking on the day and getting through, or at least doing what was asked of me that day, or taking care of the responsibilities that I had that day. And because the answer was needed rather swiftly, I had to take a step back. I centered myself, and I immediately engaged in an instant meditation, if you will, or being very aware and going deeply within my spirit, taking that moment, stepping back from all of the events that we have to do, these mundane, quote unquote, what would seem mundane events that we have to engage in. I just took a step back, understanding the urgency of the now, and took a journey within my spirit to glean that response. And part of that process means to turn this off, because sometimes, you're going through your day and you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to turn this off. So I turned that off, right? I turned that off, and I delved deeply within my spirit, and I waited, and I stayed in that space. And because of the practice that I have and what I've been doing, I was able to stay in that space, go take a shower, brush my teeth, things of that nature. And bam, the response came from deep, and it illuminated my mind very quickly in that process, right? And I received the answer, and I was able to execute the task and give the response. And so this is what living a spiritual life, if you will, is about. When we talk about that, or when I mention living a spiritual life, sometimes people think it has to do with, I don't know. I do know. Sometimes people feel like it means reading the Bible 20 times a day, or praying 20 times a day, or in this instant, in this conversation, understanding what living a spiritual journey is, your life and how you live your life in earnest, in accordance with your light, in accordance with your higher self, is living a spiritual life. Being honest and in accordance with what your higher self, what your spirit requires in that moment, is living your Bible. Your Bible is within you. Living your truth. Living every moment of every day in the moment, aligned with your spirit, is living a spiritual life, is embarking on a spiritual journey, honoring your truth, honoring your awareness of the truth, doing right by your spirit and by others. And so I hope and trust that was helpful for you all. Thank you all for watching and joining me here on this segment, another segment of the spiritual discussion. Remember that you're loved. Remember that I love you, whether I see you or not, because you and I are one, because you and I share a space within this universe that is unseen. I honor that light within you where we are one. And so with that said, again, remember that you're loved. Mwah! Namaste. Bye. Mwah. And there you have it on another segment of Dr. TSA Series, a spiritual discussion. Thank you once again all for watching. Remember to click that thumbs up and subscribe. Also, remember you're loved. Namaste.